a
This is our top 10 one-punch knockouts. Like and subscribe. Let's open up the list with one of the Irish fans' favorite knockouts. Number 10 is the legendary but short fight between Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor. In the most anticipated featherweight title bout in sports history, Jose Aldo, the division's king, entered the cage for the 8th time to defend his title. Everyone who knows Aldo thought he would go through McGregor, especially because of McGregor's mischievous behavior in the build-up to the fight. Aldo, undefeated for 8 years, had only one reason for his quick fall. It was the desire to decapitate McGregor and punish him as quickly as possible. Little did he know that Conor was aiming for that outcome, falling into the trap of a dangerous Irish counterpuncher. After Aldo's first and aggressive movement, a quick left straight to the chin, sniping down and this night of thrill and agony is one of the greatest you can experience, defeating the dominant champion as an underdog in just 13 seconds.
Phenomenal night, $10.1 million gate, the highest pay-per-view of the year.
Knockout number 9 takes us to Saitama under the lights of the famous Japanese organization Rizin. The local fighter Daici, who along with Rizin tried his skills in the UFC and won championship, welcomed the Brazilian-born fighter Marcos Yoshio Souza. Although the word welcome is not the correct use in the outcome of this match, you'll see why. Both fighters opened the first round with exchanges of punches, which in the second round opened up space for Daici to turn the fight in his favor, and Daici got a chance to display his dominant striking and unfortunately unsportsmanlike behavior. Halfway through the second round, Abe knocks Marcos out of consciousness with a precise right hand, following up the grounded opponent with an unnecessary soccer kick. Ouch. The Cage Warriors organization can boast of top-notch one-punch knockouts too. This brings us to knockout number 8 between Darren O'Gorman and Nicolas Leblond in CW 122 in 2021 in front of the London crowd. If you thought flyweights didn't have one-punch knockout power, this matchup will convince you otherwise. Both guys showed relentless striking attempts, rocking each other multiple times without room to rest. Out of a combined 15 wins, the two have 11 submission finishes to their name, and every time the two grapplers meet in the octagon, they turn the fight into the ultimate stand-up scrap. Hits were thrown everywhere, and all the time, the blows were clean and hard, and both decided to show who was the better striker. It was only a matter of time whose head would fly first. However, the French fighter Leblond takes advantage of his pressure in the second half of round 2. He disguises his offense brilliantly, with jabs and changing levels to drop Irish fighter Darren with a lethal left, sticking him to the fence and adding a right hook to the already unconscious falling opponent. By no means should we forget Bellator, and who can better show knockout power than the fight between Sergio Pettis and Kyoji Horiguchi in 2021. In his first bantamweight title defense, Sergio showed what it means to be a champion. Regardless of MMA veterans Kyoji Horiguchi domination of Pettis the entire fight, Pettis lost every second of the fight where Kyoji was stronger and faster with dominant wrestling and striking. And the end of such a fight would mean that Bellator has a new champion. However, the warrior heart of Pettis has shown that mental toughness always prevails. Sergio was not ready to let the title slip out of his hands at the first defense and decided to make a spectacle. The Japanese's dominance relaxed him, but a little too much. He was a minute and a half away from the championship, but his path to the title was cut off by Pettis, who tried to throw a right high kick from the clinch, missed, but followed it up with a spinning back fist that spilled Horiguchi on the floor. Knockout number 6 deservedly belongs to the UFC superstar Khamzat Chimaev after a superb performance at Brave 2019. Chimaev clashed with the always tough and unpleasant Ikram Alieskerov, who is also a member of the UFC today. Both entered the match undefeated, and anyone would have thought that the clash between the two Russians would involve a lot of wrestling, but we have already said what happens when the grapplers find themselves in the cage. Already in the first half minute, Khamzat threw Ikram into a knockdown, but he could not use his dominant wrestling skills against a compatriot, but he couldn't use his dominant wrestling skills against his compatriot. Alieskerov offered excellent resistance and decided to settle the match with violent punches. Going back and forth, an explosive start to the fight means an explosive finish. 2.5 minutes were very intense because obviously the boys were in a hurry to go home. Alieskerov's missed jab got punished by Chimaev with his famous and dangerous uppercut from the counter, knocking out the mouthguard and wit from Ikram, who remained lying motionless. We left knockout number 5 for another brutal title defense, this time at the KSW 49 event, headlined by Roberto Soldić and Krystian Kaszubowski in 2019. The indestructible RoboCop is known for quality performances for the Polish organization, and the match against the undefeated Kaszubowski is no different from the previous ones, as well as the future ones. The patient opening of the fight with a dose of full power punches gave a hint at how the fight would end. The first couple of clean shots that Soldić directed at Krystian showed the power he possesses. Despite that, Kaszubowski decided to apply pressure and thus open the door to his downfall, allowing Soldić to immediately close it with a heavy left from the counter. After the blow, Krystian literally crashed to the floor, and Roberto didn't give him time to recover, so he cemented the already sufficient knockout with 2 cruel hammer fists. Fortunately for Pole, the referee was present and intervened before Soldić managed to beat the life out of him. The European organization OKTAGON is rapidly gaining popularity in recent years, so we reserved the 4th place in their honor. At their 41st event in Liberec, in the last preliminary fight, Mateusz Strzlczyk and Jorick Montagnac properly warmed up the crowd for the main event. The more experienced fighter Mateusz comes on short notice against fresh professional Jorick from France in a light heavyweight bout. The first round in the second half was full of punches, and Montagnac got the upper hand in the exchanges and shook the pole on several occasions. It was clear that the lights would be turned off. In a fairly active and therefore attractive round, Jorick chases Mateusz against the fence for the umpteenth time looking for the finish, but in just 1 second, he hesitates to attack, which the pole takes advantage of and sends the Frenchman into the shadow realm with a hard right hook. The Professional Fighters League is another organization that takes the world by storm with its competitive system, earning it the 3rd knockout spot on our list. At the 5th PFL event in the featherweight bout, there was a clash between Alejandro Flores from Mexico and Ryoji Kudo from Japan. As a knockout artist with 7 knockouts in 11 fights, Ryoji entered with his standard game plan against the much more experienced Flores. Both men opened the match with a lot of testing and feinting, and the fight lasted without significant action. A few kicks, a hand strike, but nothing that would threaten either of them. The peaceful flow was interrupted after the first half of the round when Kudo flew into the space of the opponent with a merciless right hook, who couldn't step back due to the fence of the cage, leaving the opponent unconscious in the sitting position. Unfortunately for both fighters, this is the peak they have experienced in recent years because Flores failed doping and Kudo lost 3 times in a row. Knockout number 2 takes us to the Philippines for another title fight, but this time in one championship. In 2017 at ONE, Legends of the World, the local fighter Edward Folayang was trying to achieve the 2nd defense of the lightweight title, and his opponent was a fighter from Australia, Martin Nguyen. The tension between them was felt outside the cage, and both fighters were focused on throwing kicks, hitting all parts from heel to head, but without much danger. Considering their weight, the match went quite slowly and carefully. Folayang tried his best to hit Martin with spinning kicks, while Martin held the center of the cage all the time and patiently pressured his opponents. As time went on in the 2nd round, things got more dangerous, which woke up the sleeping crowd just in time to see the spectacle. Folayang's multiple spinning kick attempts backfired on him, as Nguyen intelligently took advantage to punish his opponent with a hard right hand on the counter. The audience was awakened, but Edward remained asleep. We reached number 1, and with that, we're coming to the end, but not before showing off one of the most brutal knockouts ever, although murder would be a more correct word to use. In 2017 at UFC 218, Francis Ngannou, the Predator from Cameroon, had only one more obstacle to reach the title shot. Unfortunately for Alistair Overeem, that obstacle was him. The title fight elimination co-main event featured 2 of the most fearsome strikers in the world. At the it was a bar fight, and after some hugging along the cage with no activity. The referee had to separate him after an uppercut straight from hell. Francis Ngannou secured himself a title fight in a match that lasted less than his locker room warm-up, with Overeem unable to stand on his feet during the announcement of the winner. And that's our top 10 one-punch knockouts. Comment down below your favorite knockout. Jab that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to keep your guard up, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.